Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Ashmira or
Good
Vidush,
morning.
do me a favor, please send me the PDF of third chapter.
Ma'am, me?
Yeah, or you can simply send the pictures, it's not the PDF.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, just a second. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, guys. I'm happy to see at least more people today, not all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Wahid. Good morning, Ayushman. Where are the rest of your friends? Guys, don't you know that there's a rule that you have to open the cameras as well in the online class? Is it so? Is there such a rule?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Atulya. Guys, you need to open your cameras. I think so. Good, Soham. What a background. Well done, Atulya. Very good, Wahid. Very, very good, Bhakti. Excellent, Devansh. बेटा चंद्रयान तो पहुंचा नहीं, आप पहुंच गए चांद पे? Everybody look at Shaurya Patel.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Shaurya Patel. If you're done with while taking selfie, you can keep your camera on. Shaurya Patel is in all Goa vibe today. Thank you, Ashmira. Okay, guys. So till where have we read? Vidushi, Ashmira, Lakshika, Ayushman, Tanishka, Lavanya, Prableen. Kindly keep your cameras on. Good, good, good. Vidushi, Lavanya, Tanishka. Ayushman, thappad khana hai bachche. Keep your camera on. And call your friends as well, that they must be in the class. Tanishka, Lavanya, Vidushi, Lakshika.
Actually, I'm just sending you the PDF. That's all.
No, I've got the pictures. Ashmira sent. Very good, everyone. Now it's looking like a class. सिर्फ दो ही बच्चे अटेंडेड है क्लास में, वो है वाहिद और रिहान. रिहान is already started turning the pages. क्या बात है, very good. चलिए, so till where have we read? पता ही नहीं होगा किसी को, ध्यान नहीं रहता क्लास में. I think we have read about the three systems. We have started crops for Europe.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I correct in that? With
Yes, ma'am.
Ayushman, Suryansh, Ashfa, Samriddhi, keep your cameras on. Chaliye. So, we read about the three systems. Acha, I'll send you one thing for that. What did we read? We read about the three that, no? What do we call it? Three systems of settlement, right?
Ma'am.
Page B. Where is it? Yeah. So I'm sharing a picture with you. It's a very good representation of all the three forms, right, in a tabular format.
Ma'am, what we have to do?
Dance. Okay, kids. So I've shared these three tables in the group, right? One is the difference between permanent and Mahalwai system. One, there's a proper table giving us details of each system, so why it started, what was the 5 features and why the system didn't work, why did they fail. And in the third table, it is given when this started, when which system was started, where was it started, by whom, what were the merits, and what were the demerits, right? So I think these tables are gonna help you out in understanding the chapter. Clear? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
These are the very important topics of the chapter, right? So with these tables, you can understand it very, very easily. Okay? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we have to start from crops for Europe. Okay, as Ashmira has sent me the pictures, she's going to read it first. Ashmira, read it up.
Crops for Europe. The British also realized that the countryside could not only yield revenue, it can also provide raw material for agro-based industry of Europe. By the late 18th century, the company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of opiums, indigo, jute, cotton, etc., which were high in demand in the international market. The British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of these crops. First, they offered advance to the peasants. They appoint paid servant called gomstas.
Yes. Okay, so see, Gomasthas. Gomasthas. Ashmira, yeah. Okay, so now we're talking about the crops which were needed for Europe. Now, once the Britishers have got the Diwali rights, everything was in their control, right? Now, they could even control what types of crops they wanted to be grown, right? As they were focused only and only on their profits. So they were obviously interested in growing the crops which were in high demand in Europe, right? So such crops included opium, yeah. Yeah.
Opium.
Such crops included the cultivation of opium, indigo, jute, cotton, etc. We know what is jute, we know what is cotton. We know what is indigo and opium?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
indigo
what is opium?
and
Ma'am,
ma'am,
indigo.
ma'am, opium is the alcohol.
Opium is
Alcohol.
not alcohol. Opium is a type of drug, like Tambaku, we call it kind of that, right? Not alcohol. Opium is alcohol. Opium is a kind of drug that is consumed there in various other things. And indigo is a blue color pigment which is used for dyeing fabric, which is used for dyeing cotton, right? So these things were great in demand there. So Britishers were focused on growing these more so that they can export these to the European state countries, right? And the British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of these crops. The first method was they offered advances to the peasants, right? They gave them advance payments that, okay, you want to, if you're growing all these crops, we will pay you the money in advance so that you can work on that. Secondly, they appointed paid servants called gomastas. They were the ones who used to go to give the order, collect the order, right? Harass the peasants for all these things, right? See, one table is given in your book as well for the comparison of 3 systems. You can also learn this as well. Make this table in your notebook too. Okay. Now let's see what happened with the indigo and what is the story of indigo and blue rebellion. Now I'll just give you an insight of it. What happened is that the crops which the Britishers wanted the Indian peasants to grow, there was no harm in growing that. But the problem was that if we talk about indigo was one such crop which was cultivated on a piece of land, right? It just extracts that land out of its nutrients, right? if you have cultivated indigo once or twice on a piece of land, then later on the problem will come that you won't be able to grow any other crop on that land because the land would have lost its fertility, right? So when the because of the temptation of the advances, a lot of peasants started, okay, let's grow indigo. But once they started growing indigo, then they couldn't grow rice on it, which was their main can say which was the main thing of earning money, main way to earn money. The more they used to earn more by cultivating rice and all. So once they have grown indigo, they were not able to grow any other crop. And rice is one such crop which again requires a lot of water and nutrients from the soil. So then they wanted to retrieve. They did not want to grow this crop of indigo again. But then the Britishers were forcing them to do. Now let's see what happened. Chaliye Hardik, read.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The story of indigo and blue regular. The indigo plants grow permanently in the tropic. By the 13th century, Indian indigo was being used cloth manufacturing in Europe to dye clothes. However, due to high demand and low supply, its price was very high. By the end of the 18th century, the demand of Indian indigo grew further. British began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically, creating an enormous new expand for clothes dyes, while the demands for indigo increases. It existing supply from West Indies and America collapsed for a variety for a reason between 1783 and 1789. The production of the indigo in the world fell by half. Clothes dyes in Britain now desperately looking for new sources for indigo supplies.
Okay, thank you so much, Hardik. So as Hardik read and told us the same thing, that indigo plants grows primarily in the tropic. Tropics means, what do you mean the tropics, Atulya?
Ma'am, particular areas.
Which particular area, Gaurav?
I'm near the equator.
Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn.
Exactly, the areas in between or nearby the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer, the tropical areas, right? And India lies in one of the, India is a tropical area, right? So, however, right, it was being used by the cloth manufacturers of Europe for dyeing clothes. But the problem was that अब क्या था, इसकी हाई डिमांड, जो इसका प्राइस भी बहुत ज्यादा था, एंड 18th सेंचुरी के अंदर जो इंडिगो की डिमांड थी वो और बढ़ गई, बिकॉज जो बाकी कंट्रीज थी दे स्टॉप्ड ग्रोइंग इंडिगो, so all the load came on the head of Indians, right? Britain began to industrialize the cotton production, expanded dramatically. Begin का जो cotton production था वो भी बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ रहा था. जितना cotton production बढ़ रहा था उतनी इंडिगो की डिमांड भी बढ़ रही थी, right? And yeah, we its expansion supplies from West Indies and अमेरिका को लैब्स फॉर वैरायटी ऑफ रीजन. जो पहले इंडिगो सप्लाई होता था वेस्ट इंडीज अमेरिका से, वो सप्लाई होना बंद हो गया. तो सारा सप्लाई किसको करना पड़ रहा था? इंडिया को, राइट? बिटवीन द 1780 something and 1789 the production of indigo in the west fell by half. 50% indigo production कम हो गया. Cloth dyers in Britain began now desperately looked for new sources of indigo supply. अब वो कहते हैं कैसे इंडिगो की सप्लाई करें, क्या करें, राइट? So now Britain turns to India. जब उन्हें कुछ नहीं मिला, कहाँ से लाए इंडिगो? So they where do they turn? They turn to India. Read Ihan. Britain turns to India.
Excuse me.
Yes, Gaurav.
Ma'am, what is the main work of indigo?
What?
Ma'am, what is the work of indigo?
I told you indigo is used to dye. It is used for dyeing clothes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Britain turns to India. Faced with the rising demand for indigo in Europe, the company in indigo looked for ways to expand the area under indigo cultivation. From the last decades of the 18th century, indigo cultivation in Bengal expanded rapidly, and Bengal indigo came to dominate the world market in 1788. Only about 30% of the indigo imported into Britain was from India, and within next 20 years, the figure touched to 95%. As the indigo trade grew, commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in the indigo production.
ओके सो क्या होगा कि वो इंडिया जब ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को शॉर्टेज हुई इंडिगो की सो तब भी उनके पास कोई दिक्कत है ना क्या देखा इंडिया राइट सो दे स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू इंडिया टू लुक फॉर वेज टू एक्सपैंड द एरिया ना इंडिगो कल्टीवेशन उन्होंने क्या किया फिर इंडिया में इंडिगो कल्टीवेशन बहुत बढ़ा दिया मतलब फ्रॉम लास्ट डिकेड्स ऑफ द 18th सेंचुरी इंडिगो कल्टीवेशन बिगेन रैपिडली मतलब बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ने लगा and indigo was started dominating Indian indigo started dominating the world market पूरी दुनिया में सिर्फ इंडियन इंडिगो की डिमांड ही होने लगी and yeah now in 1788 only 30% of the indigo imported into Britain was from India but within the next 20 years the figure touched 96%. So 96 or 95 it is 95%. 95% indigo being exported to India, exported to England was from India itself. So itna production उन्होंने India में already बढ़ा लिया था. Now as indigo trade grew, commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in indigo production. जैसे ना क्या रे भाई ये तो बहुत बढ़ रहा है, तो सबने indigo के production में invest करना भी शुरू कर दिया. Yes, Vidushi. Read how indigo was cultivated.
Can I read?
First, let
There
Vidushi read,
were
then you can
two
read.
main systems of indigo cultivation, niche and rayoti. Niche cultivation. Within the system of niche cultivation, the planter produced indigo in lands that he directly controlled. He either bought the land or rented it from the other zamindars and produced indigo by directly employing hired laborers. The planters found it difficult to expand the area under niche cultivation. Indigo could be cultivated only on fertile lands, and these were all already densely populated.
Okay, stop for a while. Right now, what happened is there were two main systems of indigo cultivation. One was the niche cultivation, the other was rayoti cultivation, right? Now, what is niche cultivation? Now, within the system of niche cultivation में क्या होता था? जो planter था, he used to produce indigo in the lands that where the land which he is controlling directly, right? उन्हीं एरियाज में वो इंडिगो ग्रो करवाता था जो उसके डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल में आते हैं एंड ही इधर बॉट दैट लैंड या तो उसने वो लैंड खरीद रखा था या फिर रेंट ले रखा था जमींदार से एंड ही यूज्ड टू हायर लेबरर्स टू वर्क ऑन दैट लैंड अपना खुद इंडिगो को खुद कल्टिवेट मतलब अपने आप बाय देमसेल्व्स ही यूज्ड टू गेट इट कल्टिवेटेड बाय देमसेल्व्स बाय हायरिंग laborers, right? And rayoti cultivation was different. I'll teach you. The planters found it difficult to expand the area under niche cultivation. But niche cultivation में क्या था वो area under cultivation ज़्यादा बढ़ा नहीं पा रहे थे. So या तो उन्हें land खरीदना like either the indigo could be cultivated only on fertile lands and these were all densely populated. Indigo सिर्फ fertile lands में grow कर सकते हैं वो उनमें तो already इतनी सारी population थी. So only small plots scattered over the landscape could be acquired, and planters needed large areas to compact blocks to cultivate indigo in plantation.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, should I continue reading?
Yes.
Only small plots scattered over the landscape could be acquired. Planters needed large areas in compact blocks to cultivate indigo in plantations. A large plantation required a vast number of hands to operate, and labor was needed precisely at the time when peasants were usually busy with their rice cultivation. Niche cultivation on a large scale also required many plows and bullocks. Till the late 19th century, planters were therefore reluctant to expand the area under niche cultivation. Less than 25% of the land producing indigo was under this system. The rest was under an alternative mode of cultivation, the rayoti system.
Okay. So now in that they were doing cultivation by themselves by hiring laborers in the niche cultivation, but they could not expand the area, so they had to look for an alternative, right? That is when the the large plantation was required, right, with a number of hands to operate, and labor was needed precisely at a time when peasants are usually busy with the rice production. उन्हें लेबर भी उस टाइम पे चाहिए थी, तो बाकी peasants जो है वो राइस प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं, तो लेबर भी नहीं मिल पाती थी under the niche cultivation. That is why they shifted to the Ryotwari cultivation. Niche cultivation on large scale also required many plows and bullocks, right? So till the late 19th century, plantations were therefore reluctant to expand the area in niche cultivation. Less than 25% of the land producing indigo was under the system. Then they started doing an alternative mode of cultivation, which we call the Rayoti cultivation. It is the same as Mahalwari settlement, right? So now let's read the indigo on the land of Ryots. Padho Gaurav, read.
Okay, indigo on the land of riots. Under the Rioti system, the planters forced the riots to sign a contract and agreement etc. At times, they pressurized the village headman to sign the contract on behalf of the riots. Those who signed the contract got cash advances from the planters at low rates of interest to produce indigo. The planter provided the seed and the drill while the cultivators prepared the soil, sowed the seed, and looked after the crop. When the crop was delivered to the planter after the harvest, a new loan was given to the reward, and the cycle started all over again. Peasants who were in, initially initially tempted to
Initially tempted.
Initially tempted by the loan, soon realized how harsh the system was. The price they got for the indigo they produced was very low, and the cycle of loans never ended.
Okay, stop
There
here.
were
Now, what was
other
this Ryoti
reasons.
system? Under the system, the planters force the riots. Who are riots here? Can you tell me?
Britishers,
No.
ma'am, the headman of the
Yes, Vahid. Riots are. Riots are the peasants or farmers or cultivators, right? They were known as riots. तो जो आप ये जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे इन फार्मर्स को या रियॉट्स को फोर्स कर रहे थे, आप हमारे साथ एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन करो, जिसको एक सट्टा कहते थे, एक अग्रीमेंट साइन करो, एंड कभी कभी विलेज हेड को भी प्रेशराइज करते कि जाइए आप अपने यहाँ की कल्टिवेटर्स या पीजन से कहिए कि अग्रीमेंट साइन करें. जिन्होंने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन कर लिया उनको कैश में एडवांस देते थे प्लांटर्स वर द ब्रिटिशर्स, राइट, एट लोअर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट टू प्रोड्यूस इंडिगो, कि चलो हम आपको कम रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पे एडवांसेस दे रहे हैं, आप चलिए आप चलकर इंडिगो ग्रो करिए, बस कैसे भी आप इंडिगो का प्रोडक्शन करिए, राइट. देन the planter provided the seed and drill, and while the cultivators prepared the soil, sowed the seed and look after the crops, right. जो भी इनको रॉ मटेरियल चाहिए होता था वो सब प्लांटर्स यानी कि ब्रिटिशर्स प्रोवाइड कराते थे, इनका काम था उस क्रॉप को ग्रो करना. बट जब क्रॉप डिलीवर की गई प्लांटर्स को आफ्टर द हार्वेस्ट, उन्हें एक नया लोन दे दिया जाता था कि फिर से यही करो, एंड द साइकिल वाज गोइंग ऑल ओवर अगेन, दिस वाज नेवर एंडिंग. पीजेंट्स जो इनिशियली बहुत टेम्प्ट हुए थे, बड़ा लालच है कि वाओ एडवांस में मिल रहा है, आराम से काम करना पड़ेगा, राइट, दे रियलाइज इट लेटर दैट द सिस्टम इज रियली हार्श, right. The price they got for indigo they produced was very low, and loans were never ending. Loans चलते ही जा रहे थे, right. So there were other problems too. पहली प्रॉब्लम क्या आई, पढ़ो आप तुल्य, the last paragraph.
There were other problems too. The planters usually insisted that indigo be cultivated on the best soils in which peasants preferred to cultivate rice. Indigo, moreover, had deep roots and it exhausted the soil rapidly. After an indigo harvest, the land could not be sown with rice.
See, just like I told you कि इंडिगो एक तो सबसे बेस्ट सॉइल्स पे ग्रो किया जाता है, एंड उन बेस्ट सॉइल्स को वर्स्ट बनाता है आफ्टर इट्स ग्रोथ. अगर आपने 2-3 बार इंडिगो कल्टीवेट कर लिया एक लैंड पे, देन यू द लैंड विल नॉट बी एज फर्टाइल एज इट वाज, एंड वहां पे तुम्हारा राइस या शुगर केन जैसी क्रॉप्स को ग्रो नहीं कर पाओगे, राइट. सो दीज आर द प्रॉब्लम्स व्हिच पीपल फेस बाय कल्टीवेटिंग इंडिगो. यस, हाँ जी गौरव.
Ma'am, niche cultivation was better than Rioti cultivation.
निच कल्टीवेशन वाज नॉट अगेन मैटर, वो भी वो तो खराब गई थी, और निच कल्टीवेशन में क्या था, इट वाज डन बाय द ब्रिटिशर्स देमसेल्व्स, तो वो प्रोडक्शन नहीं बढ़ा पाए थे उसमें, दैट इज, इट वाज नॉट गुड फॉर देम. Yes, Wahid, read the Blue Rebellion and after.
The Blue Rebellion and after. In March 1859, thousands of riots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. As the rebellion spread, riots refused to pay rents to the planters and attacked indigo factories armed with spears, bows, and arrows. Women turned up to fight with pots, pans, and kitchen implements. Those who worked for the planters were socially boycotted, and the Gomastas, agent of planters who came to collect rent, were beaten up. Riots swore they would no longer take advances to sow indigo nor be bullied by the planters' lathias, the lathi building strongmen maintained by the planters. Why did the indigo peasants decide that they will no longer remain silent? What gave them the power to rebel? Clearly, the indigo system was intensely oppressive, but those who are oppressed do not always rise up in rebellion. They do not.
Rebellion नहीं,
They
rebellion.
rebellion. They do so only at times. In 1859, the Indigo Riot felt that they had the support of the local zamindars and village headmen in their rebellion against the planters in many villages. Headmen who had been forced to sign indigo contracts mobilized the indigo peasants and fought pitched battles with the Latvias in other places. Even the zamindars went around villages urging the riots to resist the planters. These zamindars were unhappy with the increasing power of the planters and angry at being forced by the planters to give them land on long leases. The indigo peasants also imagined that the British government would support them in their struggle against
Wahid, wait, stop. Right, अब क्या हो गया था कि भाई these people were very fed up with the system of, Wahid was running ultra speed. Wahid क्या हो गया था बेटा, सुपर फास्ट मोड लगा दिया था. ठीक है, राइट. सो मार्च 1859 में ना बहुत सारे जो revolts they just started a rebellion in Bengal, and they were like, now we'll not grow indigo, you do whatsoever you want to do. अब हम grow नहीं करेंगे, we are just fed up, we are just done, right. उन्होंने कहा ना हम rent देंगे ना हम indigo grow करेंगे, we'll do nothing, right. So they started attacking the indigo factories with swords and everything. Women also participated, women did not have swords and spears and anything, so started going on with the homemade supplies, the house supplies, the utensils and all, whichever they got. And they were like, it's enough, right. So मतलब जो भी लोग planters को support कर रहे थे उन सबको तो boycott कर दिया गया, and the Latvias and all जो agents है गुमास्तास उन सबको बीटा गया. They all swore that they would no longer take advances to sow indigo. ना तो वो advance लेंगे indigo sow करने के लिए, ना ही हम लठियाल से डरेंगे. Latvias are the people who used to beat these people with a stick, right. So, and but why did the indigo peasants decide that they would no longer remain silent? ऐसा क्यों किया उन लोगों ने? Because they were done. They were like कि बस भाई अब नहीं होगा. उन्हें लग रहा था कि हमारे को जमींदार सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. जमींदार के साथ साथ the village headman is also supporting us. And why should we step back? Let's go and rebel. So इस बार उन्होंने rebel किया, right? And बाकी places में भी जहाँ पे जमींदार villages के पास थे उन्होंने भी resist किया plan. So उन्होंने कहा नहीं गलत है, right? So the zamindars are unhappy with the increasing power of the planters and angry at being forced by the planters to give them land for long leases. ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. The indigo peasants also imagined that the British government would support them in this struggle. उनको लगा था कि British government को support करेगी. Revolt of 1857 के बाद British government ने ऐसा मतलब क्योंकि 1857 का revolt हो चुका था, British government was quite scared कि कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि फिर से कोई revolt, फिर से कोई rebellion हो जाए. So somewhere they supported the peasants as well. Support भी करा, right. When the news spread of a simmering revolt in indigo districts, the lieutenant governor toured the Indian regions in the winter of 1859, right. And जब उसने tour किया, देखा क्या दिक्कत परेशानी है, तो लोग कहा कि at least he's thinking about us now. So they felt something good about the Britishers. Now as the rebellion spread, बहुत सारे intellectuals जिन्होंने कहा कि Indian districts में गए, and they wrote about the misery of the riots कि क्या problems वो लोग face कर रहे हैं. Worried about the rebellion, the government brought in the military to protect the planters from assault. पर बोला था कि military ने बोला कि इन planters को तो ये जो riots हैं, cultivators हैं, मार ही डालेंगे, right? So then they set up an indigo commission to inquire कि ये system क्या है, क्या ये सच में ही oppressive है, क्या ये system सच में हमारे उनको problem पे कर रहा है. So it declared that indigo production was not profitable for the riots. इस system ने बाद में declare कि हाँ ये जो system है इससे सिर्फ planters का फायदा हो रहा है, जो cultivators उनका फायदा नहीं हो रहा है. एंड द कमीशन आस्क्ड द रिवॉर्ड्स टू फुलफिल द एग्जिस्टिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, कि आपके जो अभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स हैं आप कम से कम वो फुलफिल करिए, द रेस्ट वी विल सी. आफ्टर द रिवॉर्ड इंडिगो प्रोडक्शन कोलैप्स इन बंगाल, बट द प्लांटर्स नाउ शिफ्टेड द ऑपरेशन टू बिहार. अब बंगाल जो है कि वो बिहार में गए लगे. विद द डिस्कवरी ऑफ सिंथेटिक डाइज इन द लेट 19th century, the business is severely affected, right? And then they managed to expand production. When Mahatma Gandhi returned from South Africa, he was asked to come to Champaran by the peasants there to see the plight of the indigo planters, and Mahatma Gandhi visited 1917, which marked the beginning of the Champaran movement against the indigo planters. Please, I'm giving you 2 minutes, go through this and let me know if you have any doubts.
Excuse ma'am.
Yes, Gaurav.
Ma'am, can you tell me that why niche cultivation was harsh? Because ma'am, the cultivators cultivate that indigo by their own self. So ma'am,
Beta,
why it
but
was
they had
harsh?
limited lands. देखो जो fertile lands they are already occupied by the farmers. Fertile lands पे farmers already crops grow कर ही रहे थे, right? और जो ये planters इनको बहुत थोड़े थोड़े pieces of land मिले हुए थे और ना ही वो इतना ज़्यादा fertile थे. और इन्हें इंडिगो जितना चाहिए था उसके लिए they need large tracts of land which they could not get. So instead of struggling for land, they started hiring the people who had land. उन लोग से ही काम करना शुरू कर दिया, इनके पास अपने आप land है. Yes, विदुषी.
Ma'am, can you please tell me who introduced the permanent settlements?
Okay. So permanent settlement was a system in which the people, the Britishers decided, and now we'll be charging permanent amount of revenue from the peasants. And here they were not directly coming to collect the revenue from the peasants. They have a point like they have made the Rajas and the Zamindars, the new peasant collectors. So they used to collect them the taxes and they had to pay it to the company. अब एक फिक्स था कि आपको इतना हमें रेंट देना है. अब अगर ये जो राजाज हैं जमींदार हैं उससे ज्यादा कलेक्ट कर ले रहे हैं तो उनका प्रॉफिट है. कम भी कलेक्ट होगा then they have to add by themselves and they had to pay the fixed amount fixed by the Britishers.
Okay,
ठीक है.
thank you.
Any other doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Shall we do the exercises then?
Yes, ma'am.
Vidushi, can you please send me the picture of the exercises?
Just a second.
Vidushi, have you sent? I just need
Ma'am,
the
I'm
picture.
sending, you just see on your WhatsApp. I have sent the fill in the blanks and sending the others as well.
Send me the fill in the blanks. No? Yeah.
Ma'am, send.
Thank you, Vidushi. So first question is, the permanent settlement was introduced in dash. What would be the answer?
1973.
1973, well done.
Ma'am, in 1793.
1973. Right. Next.
Ma'am,
1793.
1793.
1793.
Yeah, 1793. Next is the Malwai system was introduced in the
1822.
1822.
well done, Atulya. 1822. Next is Jyotibai system was introduced in
1820.
1820.
1820. Fine. Dash and dash were major supplies of cotton to the international market during the 18th century.
Ma'am, wheat and jute शायद.
अरे बेटा, major suppliers of cotton. Bahir. Which powers used to supply cotton to Britain? बताइए. बोलो बच्चों.
Raja Singh Talukdar.
Ma'am, Alexander Reed, Captain Alexander.
No. बोलो बेटा. India and Egypt. Right? It was India and Egypt. Next.
Ma'am, India and Egypt.
Next is under dash cultivation, the planter produce indigo in lands that he directly controls.
NIG cultivation.
Rivet
NIG cultivation.
niche, yes. Niche cultivation. Next is correct the statement. Rivet system was introduced with Thomas Munro.
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct the statement, correct it. Right, who introduced it?
Ma'am, Alexander, Captain Alexander.
Alexander Red introduced it, Thomas Munro for promoted it. Right. Next is match the column permanent settlement. Permanent settlement, guys.
Ma'am, Lord Cornwallis.
Lord
Lord
Cornwallis.
Cornwallis.
Correct. Next is the Mahalwai settlement.
Paul Mackenzie.
The Munro system.
Captain Alexander.
It's in the red.
Correct. Assertion. British government set up the Indigo Commission to inquire about a system of indigo production. And reason is the planters forced the government to set up the commission. Which one is correct?
And what?